Welcome to a deep dive into something pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The idea that just by imagining something, we can actually make it real. We're going to be taking a deep dive into The Law and the Promise by Neville Goddard.
Hmm.
And, wow, this book is really something else.
It really shifts your perspective, doesn't it? Goddard doesn't just say, oh, this is an interesting thought. He's saying this is a law, like gravity.
Yeah. It's like we're not just living in the world, we're creating it with our minds.
Mhm.
And he uses some really interesting stories to prove his point. There's one that comes to mind about a doctor and his wife. They really wanted to own this specific apartment building.
Oh, yeah, and they didn't just want it. They, lived in that reality, They imagined everything about it.
It's like they were already living there,
Yeah.
right? They didn't try to force anything to happen. They focused on how it would feel to already have it.
Sure.
And guess what? They ended up getting that building. It didn't happen in any, normal way. It was just like this shift happened, and then it showed up in their life. Have you ever noticed that, by the way? Like when you change your thinking and then things around you start changing too.
All the time. And, that's something important for everyone listening to think about. What if we focused more on how it would feel to already have what we want?
Like that saying, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. But Goddard takes it even further.
Right. He says your imagination is incredibly powerful, not just for daydreaming, but for actually changing the world around you. There's another example, a woman who had this terrible back pain for 39 years because of an accident she had as a child.
Oh, wow, 39 years. That's a long time to live with pain.
It really is. And she tried everything to fix it, nothing worked, and then she learned about Goddard's technique of revision.
Okay, hold on. Let's break that down for a sec.
Yeah.
Revision. Sounds kind of vague. What exactly did Goddard mean by that?
Basically, he's saying our memories, even how we see the past, it's not set in stone. We can actually use our imagination to go back and revise what happened. Not to literally change the past, but to change how it affects us today.
So this woman, instead of replaying the fall and the pain, she imagined herself landing safely. She focused on how good it felt to be okay. And get this, after a few days of doing this, her pain started to lessen. And after 2 months, the back pain she had for decades, it was gone.
It's like rewriting the story in her mind, freed her from it physically. Some people might call it a coincidence, but Goddard saw it as proof of how powerful revision can be.
And this is where it gets really interesting for me. If we can change how we see the past, what does that mean for our present and our future?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? He's basically saying, don't let the limits you've put on yourself hold you back. Your reality is way more flexible than you think.
This is already blowing my mind, and we've only just scratched the surface. We have so much more to dig into, like the spiritual side of Goddard's ideas, what he called the creative moment, and the made past, too. It's like we think reality is this solid thing, but Goddard's saying it's more like, I don't know, water or something, like it can change shape.
Yeah, it's fluid, and that's where his idea of the creative moment comes in. It's not like a specific time, it's more like a state of mind, It's when you decide to focus on how you want things to be, not just how they seem right now.
So it's not just wishing, it's about really believing you already have it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about deciding what you believe and then making your thoughts and feelings line up with that. It's like he uses this metaphor of a potter with clay. Our imagination is the potter's wheel, and our thoughts and beliefs are the clay.
Okay, I like that.
We can shape our reality, but we have to be intentional about it.
You mentioned the made past earlier, too. That one sounds kind of wild. Like, can we actually change the past?
It's not about erasing what happened, but more like changing how we relate to it. There's this woman, she's in a lot of debt, and instead of freaking out, she goes back to the moment she took out the loan. But in her mind, she changes it, she says no to the loan, and figures out another way.
So she basically rewrote her own history.
Yeah.
But did that actually change anything in the present?
Well, by revising that memory, she let go of all the guilt and fear she had around the debt. It was like a weight lifted. And because of that, this new opportunity came up for her totally out of the blue, and she was able to pay off the loan. It's not that the past literally changed, but by changing how she saw it, it opened up a new possibility.
Oh, okay. It's like our feelings are magnetic or something, like they attract things that match.
Exactly. And this doesn't just work for, money or things. Goddard thought our spiritual growth works the same way. The more we imagine ourselves connected to, something bigger, the more we actually become that.
So we're not just imagining a better life, we're imagining ourselves into a deeper spiritual experience.
That's a really good way to put it. He saw our imagination as the link between us and the divine, and that through that link, we can reach our full potential. not just as people, but as, creators of the world we want to live in.
Okay, now this is a lot to process, but in a good way. It's kind of empowering to think we have that much influence.
It is, and that's what I think is so important about Goodard's message. We're not stuck. Our imagination is the key to creating a reality that's even bigger and better than we can imagine right now.
It's like we're not just watching our lives happen anymore, we're actually directing them.
Yeah, exactly. And the amazing thing is, this power of imagination, it doesn't stop with just us. Goddard believed it affects everyone, the whole world.
Wait, so what we're imagining is shaping the entire world around us.
It's a big idea, right? But when you really think about it, what starts a war? Or a movement for change? Even the stuff we create, technology, all of it, it starts with someone imagining it. It's like a shared imagination.
Okay, that's kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're saying if we want a better future, it starts with our imagination. All of us.
That's exactly it. It's not just about getting what we want personally. It's about realizing we're all creating this world together, whether we know it or not. So we got to be careful what we're thinking, what we believe.
It makes that whole be careful what you wish for thing take on a whole new meaning. Maybe it's more like be careful what you imagine.
Right. Because you might just make it happen. And even bigger than that, be aware of what we're all putting out there with our thoughts. What kind of world are we all creating together?
Wow, this has been, this deep dive has really given me a lot to think about. It's exciting, and a little overwhelming, to be honest, to realize our minds have that much power.
It's definitely a lot. But that's the beauty of Goddard's work. It wakes us up to what we're really capable of, not just each of us alone, but all of us together.
Yeah, it really makes you stop and think. Well, this has been an incredible look into the power of our own imagination. Thank you so much for breaking all of this down. It's been amazing. I have a feeling this is something we'll keep talking about for a long time.